Okay, now there's two things that I've learned after watching that Juventus game. Number one, that Juventus yellow kit is hideous. It's ugly. I don't like it. I can't wait for next season for them to get rid of it. But did you know Juventus are 7 points behind Inter? I didn't know this. Like, I literally, after the game, put on the table and I was like, this can't be true. Juventus, 7 points behind Inter. And now I'm sat telling myself, imagine those 13 draws. 3 of them were turned into victories. Juventus would be competing for the Scudetto. It's crazy. 7 points, and I feel like Juventus are the real winners of week 28 of the Serie A. Why? Milan dropped points. Fiorentina dropped points. Bologna dropped points. Lazio dropped points. And Juventus, they won. They won in comfortable fashion, I'll be honest. Like, the 1-0 scoreline doesn't really reflect on the performance. No, it's a game that maybe, just maybe, Juventus warranted a 2-3-0. I feel like Cagliari, like, they didn't really impose themselves. They didn't really take the game to Juventus. There wasn't much quality. But listen, before the game started, I saw the inclusion of 2 players I like and I hold very dearly. Dusan Vlahovic, Kenan Yildiz. And I'll be honest, Dusan Vlahovic he's fighting for that position. He is fighting. He is a player on a mission. Now, of course, it could be one of the two. Mission number 1, I am playing and fighting for my Juventus future, and I want to force my way into Thiago Motta's plans. Now, that's option number 1. Option number 2 is maybe he's just sat telling himself, I've got from now up until the end of the season to fight, to score goals, to show that I'm a talented individual that still has so much to offer, and that will definitely help him in terms of getting a move to another top club. And listen, when it comes to Juventus, if you've got a prized asset like Dusan Vlahovic, keeping him on the bench and not playing him is only going to drive his price tag down come the summer. Integrate him into the team. Let him score some goals, because then you've got some leverage. When it comes to the negotiations table and you're trying to agree a deal, you can turn around and say, listen, Dusan Vlahovic last season, X amount of goals. But today, for me, Dusan Vlahovic, he genuinely looked like a man on a mission. And just like the title says, I'm hungry. Let's eat. You look at the first goal. Throughout this season, I've always credited Dusan Vlahovic for his ability to press. The problem is, sometimes his teammates don't join in with him, but you could see today, like, the thing that I loved about the goal the most was the anticipation, where before the pass was even made backwards, Dusan Vlahovic had already redirected his body. He changed the direction because he was like, maybe, just maybe, this pass will go backwards. And when it did, he pounced. He pressured the defender. He out-muscled him, carried the ball towards goal, went around the keeper, put it into the back of the net. That is a goal that came from nothing. And how many times have I sat and talked to you guys about the roundabout of scoring goals, where you've got avenue number 1, style of play, avenue number 2, individual brilliance, avenue number 3, set pieces, and avenue number 4, errors. Forcing the opposition into errors. That Juventus goal, it literally came from Dusan Vlahovic pressing the Cagliari defender, forcing him into a mistake, pouncing on the mistake, going around the keeper, 1-0 Juventus. It's an avenue of scoring goals, and it's an avenue, if Juventus were to master, they would definitely climb higher up the table. But with Dusan Vlahovic, he looked like a man on a mission. I feel like the fact that he hasn't really been playing as much football lately, you could see towards the end, the fitness wasn't there, the sharpness was beginning to fade away. Like, he probably should have scored a second goal, but even in the first half, you could see when the ball was fizzed into him, he held it up, he brought his teammates into the game. There was this nice little moment. I've always said, Dusan Vlahovic, Kenan Yildiz, they've got a very nice relationship. Ball is fizzed into him in his own half, receives it with his back to goal, lays it off with Kenan Yildiz, then the ball is passed into the channels. Dusan Vlahovic carrying, perfect time, perfect space, feeds it into Kenan Yildiz, and another day he scores, and Dusan Vlahovic has an assist and a goal to his game, to his performance. But I feel like the performance today, it genuinely looked like a player that was trying to send a message to Thiago Motta, which is, I know, at the moment, I'm second in the pecking order. Kolo Muani is the number 1 striker, and fair enough, he is scoring goals. But don't forget about me. Don't forget about me. And I'll be so honest with you guys, From looking at everything that's going on at Juventus in terms of Kolo Muani, there's potentially rumours that they might agree another 1 year loan with an option to buy of 45 million. Dusan Vlahovic apparently on his way out. I sit down and tell myself, even if the long-term plan is to play one striker, why not keep both? Why not keep both? Nowadays, teams, they play, 50 games a season? Like, for example, even in the Serie A, you've got the domestic cups, you've got the domestic league, you've got the Champions League, the Europa League, the Conference League, whichever one you get into. Teams are playing 50, 60 games. And on top of that, you've got international football. It's good to have two strikers that bring different things to the table, but two strikers that have shown in a Juventus shirt this season, they know how to score goals. Because I look at it like this. If Juventus were to lose Dusan Vlahovic, is the backup replacement to Kolo Muani going to be a player of equal quality to Dusan Vlahovic? No, it isn't. It's going to be a downgrade. And then, when Kolo Muani is injured, or when Kolo Muani is suspended, or when Kolo Muani is rotated, you will see that massive drop-off. Why not keep both? Keep both. Because listen, if Juventus want to go back to the club they once were, if they want to reach the aspirations that they have in mind, they need to sit down and tell themselves, our primary option needs to be as good as our secondary option. Keeping Kolo Muani, keeping Dusan Vlahovic. I love the idea and when both of them were on the pitch. Fair enough, they didn't play as two split strikers. But listen, as well as it may sound, I think that trio is my favourite trio. Kolo Muani down the right side. Kenan Yildiz was on the left. They were constantly interchanging one another with Dusan Vlahovic in the middle. You've got dynamic, you've got physicality, you've got technical ability. All three of them know how to put the ball into the back of the net. The decision making tends to be spot on. Fair enough, it came in a period of the game where the opposition were tired, but I would genuinely love to see Juventus go with that trio in the next game. But for me, I would definitely try to find a way to agree a deal with Dusan Vlahovic. But besides that, I feel like Coop Miners, he's really growing in that deeper role because now he doesn't have much involvement in build-up in the final third. Now, nobody looks at him and says, your job is to create. No, now his job is a little bit deeper. Get on the ball, recycle, progress play. He gets stuck in. He wins his duels. I feel like for the first time this season, he's finally beginning to enjoy his football, and maybe, just maybe, he was a player that falls into that bracket of being misprofiled at the beginning of the season. He's not a 10, he was never ever a 10, he was never ever utilised in that position under Gasperini and Atalanta. Put him in that double pivot in front of the defence, give him the job of connecting midfield to attack, and I feel like he's really doing well in that position. Renato Vega, he was a big miss. I'll be honest with you guys, he was a big miss because I was seeing Locatelli drop deep, pick up the ball from Kelly, pick up the ball from Gatti and progress it. And I was just sat telling myself, 2 weeks ago, Vega was doing this. And listen, luckily it's only for 2-3 weeks, but he was missed severely. The technical ability, the physicality, his ability to progress play in a variety of different ways. But listen, just like how I started the video, Juventus are 7 points behind Inter. And I personally don't feel like Inter this season are as good as the Inter of the past. Like, Inter against Genoa, that was not a good game. Atalanta, they started off the season well, but they began to fade away, and now they've picked up, and they're now fortunate where they've only really got one competition to fight and juggle for. But listen, miracles have happened before. If Juventus just continue to win their games, listen. This isn't even me trying to push anything that like Juventus can win the Scudetto. But I'm just saying, go out there, get your job done. And if the opposition slip up, you're there to capitalise. That's what Juventus need to do. Especially the fact that they're now out of the Champions League. They've got the ability to rotate. It's one game a week. Listen, 7 points behind with 12 games to go. Anything can happen.